All right, what's going on, everyone? Got a quick comparison video for you today. Couple bikes behind me here. These are both 26x4 fat tire step-through bikes. Maybe you're considering one of these two bikes, so hopefully you find this video helpful. I've already done a couple other comparison videos with the Aventon Aventure bike, comparing to Rad, also to Hemiway. And I recently acquired this bike here. This is the Be Cool Pathfinder bike. And I thought, could be a good comparison to show these two up close. And when I did the overview video on this one recently, several people commented and said, hey, that would be a good comparison to Aventon. So that's what we're going to do today. I'm going to go through these bikes side by side and show you all the differences between them, maybe help you decide if one of them is right for you. And right up front, let me say, I am not here to tell you which one to buy or recommend which one you buy. You buy whatever bike on the planet speaks to you. I'm just here hopefully going to give you some information about these two, maybe help you in your buying decision. So I think that's enough talk. Let's get started. All right, everyone, here's the two bikes that we are looking at today. This right here is the B Pathfinder from Be Cool Bikes. And this one over here is the Aventure bike from Aventon. These are both 26x4 step-through bikes. Could be two bikes that you're considering. So I think the best way to do this is we're just gonna go starting at the front and work our way to the back. We'll go just through everything really quick, and I'll point out all the differences between them and maybe help you to decide which one of these might fit better for what you're looking for. All right, so starting at the front, we'll look at the Pathfinder's wheel and tire package. So these are Innova tires, 26x4 fat tire, very aggressive tread pattern on here. And the wheel is also a quick release wheel. Over on the Aventure bike, we got Kenda tires, again, a very aggressive tread pattern on it, and it has a through axle. It is not a quick release. For the brakes on these bikes, the Aventure bike has 180mm disc, full hydraulic brakes. They are Bengal Aries 3 is the name of them, and great stopping power on those brakes. The Pathfinder, 180mm full hydraulic brakes. I can't remember the name of the manufacturer. I'll put it on the screen. But again, great stopping power on these as well. They're very, very similar. I can't tell you that one is really any better than the other. So very similar wheel and tire package, very similar brakes. They both have a front suspension fork. This is a Zoom suspension fork on the Aventon. Over here, this is a Mozo suspension fork on the Pathfinder. And I'm not really a suspension expert at all. I'm just your regular average e-biker. I can't really tell the difference between these two front suspension forks. They both work pretty much the same. They both have the same adjustments on the top, multiple adjustments here, multiple adjustments on here. They're pretty much interchangeable for me. I don't really notice a difference between either one of them. Now, if we take a look at the front of the headset on the Pathfinder bike, there's no mounting brackets here for a front basket. You do have that option on the Aventure bike though. You've got mounting points here for the front rack, which they sell on their website. So if carrying a lot of cargo and you want that front rack, you can get that with the Aventon, not on the Pathfinder though. Both bikes come equipped with a headlight. This is a headlight and horn combination all in one package there, mounted on top of the fork. Over on the Aventon, it's mounted on the handlebars up here, and it's just a headlight. There's no horn built into that. And actually, I don't think this bike even came with any kind of bell on it. Now, with regard to the lighting, they also have taillights on each bike, but they're different. So on the Pathfinder, you've got the taillight mounted in the center here, and it is a taillight, a brake light, and also turn signals, like a sequential turn signal that flashes, which is really cool. It's all controlled up here with the control panel there. On the Aventure bike, you also have a taillight. It is mounted here, integrated into the frame on this left-hand side of the bike, or driver's side of the bike, I guess you'd call it. Not one on the other side though. When you're directly behind the bike, you've only got a taillight on this side. So if you're kind of offset to this side, you're not really going to see the taillight. I don't know why they didn't put one on this side as well. That just seems like would be a good idea. Just have dual taillights, one on each side, so it's always visible. But it is a taillight and also a brake light. There's no turn signals on this bike though. All right, now let's come up here and take a look at what's going on the handlebars. We'll do the Aventure bike first. So you've got round grips, rubber grips, an 8-speed shifter, and it's a thumb and index shifter. And on this side is your control panel for, pedal assist up and down and menus and power and everything, and a left-hand thumb throttle. A lot different than what's going on the Pathfinder. So the Pathfinder has the leather wrap grips with the palm rest, so a thicker grip, a twist throttle on your right hand, and a 7-speed shifter that's all done with your thumb. On this side is where you've got your horn, turn signals, and your menu keys to do everything in your display. So a couple differences there to be aware of, you know, the different types of shifters on the bike and also the different types of throttles. I know people are kind of divided on thumb throttle versus twist throttle, and these bikes are very different in those respects. But let's take a look at the screens now. So we'll power on the Pathfinder bike here, and you can see that it is a color display, a very vibrant color display on this bike. As you go through the pedal assist, it'll change the color as well to red, purple, orange, yellow, and it's very colorful screen. It's a very nice looking screen. This is one of my favorites that I've seen on any e-bike actually. There's a lot of information on this screen. It's very visible, very colorful. I like this one a lot. It's easy to use. On the Aventure bike, it's a darker screen. Let me turn it on so you can see what it looks like. It is a color screen as well, but the colors aren't as vibrant on this bike. So there's blues and reds and greens and everything in this screen as well, but it is a darker backlit screen. So it's not quite as readable, I'll say, as the Pathfinder bike, but it does still give you all the information you need, and you can see your pedal assist go up and down there. And it's super simple to program this Aventon screen. You just hold the I key and it gets you into all the different settings to clear your trip data and the brightness and set the units and speed limits and everything. So it's very easy to use, and this screen also connects to your phone and you can track your rides. That is not something that the Pathfinder bike has. You know, your phone cannot be connected to this bike, but I'll leave it up to you guys which screen you like better. They both give you the information you need. Given the choice between two, I'd probably take this one. It's much more colorful and I think a little bit more readable. The Aventon bike, here's one thing I've noticed, is when I wear my polarized sunglasses, I cannot see this screen at all. It's just the waves of light that come out of that screen, you know, is blocked by the polarized lenses, so it looks black when I'm riding. And I have very light sensitive eyes, so I almost always wear sunglasses so I can't see anything on that screen as I'm going down the road. Now, in terms of the handlebar height from the ground, they're virtually identical. I mean, I think they're within half an inch of each other, and they have very similar seating positions. It tends to be a kind of an upright seating position, which I like a lot. So if you like that riding position, you're going to probably like either one of these bikes for that. Next, I think we should talk about the battery packs. There's some similarities there and some major differences as well. So for the Pathfinder bike, the battery is right here integrated into the frame and it drops out the front. On the Aventon bike, again, battery is integrated into the frame, but it pops out this side over here. And they're both okay to get in and out. I think the Aventon's is probably easier to get in and out of the bike because it goes in from the side. This one, you gotta, there's not a ton of clearance there between the front fender and popping that battery out, but they both go in relatively easy. The biggest difference is just the battery capacities of these bikes. The Adventure bike has a 48 volt 15 amp hour battery pack, and the Pathfinder bike has a 48 volt 21 amp hour battery pack. Much larger battery pack on this Be Cool bike. It's going to give you probably a lot longer range. These are the step through frame designs for these bikes. Each company also offers a step over version. And here's a close-up look at the Be Cool Pathfinder bike. Very interesting frame design, battery controller all integrated inside the frame, and then you've got this one bar that comes back to the rear axle. And on the Aventon bike, same thing, battery controller integrated into the frame, and then there's more of a triangle that goes back to the rear axle. And as far as weights on these bikes, the Pathfinder is much heavier. It's about 85 pounds, and I think the Aventon, I weighed that in at about 77 pounds. So each bike is quite heavy, something to consider if you are going to be loading or lifting your bike frequently. For the gearing, on the Be Cool bike, you've got a 48 tooth front chainring and 1428 on the back with a Shimano Tourney derailleur on there. This is a double-sided aluminum chainring. On the Aventon, very similar, 46 tooth front chainring, double-sided aluminum, and then 1420 on the back with Shimano Acera. So virtually no difference there. I mean, both bikes had great feeling in the pedal at all times. With regard to seat height, virtually identical in that department as well. It's like 34-inch minimum seat height on the Pathfinder, and they have a suspension seat post on there. Springs also in the seat, and it's a very wide, thick, plush seat. I like it a lot. On the Aventon bike, again, 34-inch seat height. There's no suspension post. This is an aftermarket seat that I purchased and put on there because I wasn't a huge fan of the original seat. Here's the original. It looks very sharp. I like the design of it, but it's just not very thick. There's no springs in it. It is somewhat wide, but I like the softer, more plush seat, so I chose to put an aftermarket one on instead of this. So neither bike has a crazy low seat height. However, I mean, you could decrease the seat height a couple inches if you take that suspension post out of there. And on the Aventon bike, they actually sell different frame sizes. This is the medium large frame design. They have a small medium frame design, which might give you a shorter seat height. I'm not sure on that though. I have never been on the small medium frame for Aventon. Now both bikes are featuring the rear rack. However, the rack comes standard on the Pathfinder. You get this included in the purchase price. On the Aventon bike, the rear rack is an aftermarket accessory that you've got to buy extra. And I can put the price on the screen. They both do come with fenders standard though. The Aventons are a metal fender and the Pathfinders are a plastic fender. So if that matters to you, metal or plastic, I mean, the only thing I would really point out there, I'm fine with either, but the one thing I've noticed over the couple years with metal fenders is just the noise. Whenever you put the kickstand up, it does make a little bit of a rattle through the metal fender. So it kind of is a little bit louder when you're doing the kickstand. You know I hate noisy kickstands. If you've ever seen one of my other videos. But both get fenders standard. Racks and everything are optional though on the Aventon. You got to buy those. I've got 4 or 5 different step-through bikes that have similar designs to these. The Be Cool bike though is the only one that has this single bar that comes back to the axle. You know, people have told me in the past that the step-through bikes aren't as rigid for off-roading, and you know, maybe that is true, but I don't really think people are pushing these bikes to the limit like that. I think most people are probably buying them just to kind of cruise around on the bike path, so I wouldn't really have a problem with either one of these. Let's talk about the power deliveries on these bikes. They are different. So the Pathfinder bike is a 750 watt bike and it peaks at, I'm going to say around 900 watts is I think where I saw it get up to. I don't know the manufacturer of this rear hub motor. It doesn't say on it. The Aventon bike has a Bafang 750 motor in it. It's the G062 updated motor. It's very torquey and very powerful. The Adventure bike is definitely a more powerful bike. The Be Cool bike did everything I needed it to do. Got up hills just fine, up to speed just fine. It wasn't as strong as the Aventon. The Aventon peaks at I think 1130 and this peaks at around 9. So there is that difference there and it's a noticeable difference. I mean, this Aventon bike is probably one of the strongest that I've been on. So if you are a power hungry e-bike rider, the Aventon is more powerful, but the Be Cool bike seemed to have adequate power as well. And there are other performance differences to kind of factor in. So another thing I didn't mention while we were talking about the handlebars and the throttles and everything, on the Pathfinder bike from Be Cool, you've got a twist throttle and you have all of that power available to you at all times, anytime you twist the throttle. So you can twist the throttle and not pedal and cruise this bike up to about 26 miles an hour. On the Aventon bike, you can't do that. The throttle is limited to 20 and there is no way to change it, no way to override it. If you're not pedaling, 20 miles an hour is your max on the Adventure bike. I really wish they would find a way to unlock that and let you go full power. The way you get full power out of the Aventon is you have to pedal. It then becomes a class 3 bike and you can pedal it up to 28 miles an hour. I think I pedaled this bike up over 30, like 32, 33 miles an hour. And the Pathfinder bike, I was able to pedal right up to like 29, maybe 30 miles an hour. So top speeds are very similar, but the Pathfinder does have a higher top speed on throttle only. All right, well, I hope you enjoyed that quick comparison on these two bikes. And if you're looking for information on either one, I do have additional videos in my review and comparison playlist. Check that out if you need some more information on one of these two bikes. And if I forgot something, put it in the comments. I'll do my best to answer it for you if I can. And if you like e-bike information like this, consider hitting subscribe. And I think that's all for today. So thank you so much for watching.